Hey everybody, it's Barbara, and today I'm going to be reviewing something I've wanted to review for a long time. As a matter of fact, I've been a monthly subscriber for a very long time to Squintbox, which bills itself as your monthly minifix. And these really are miniatures. They're much more consistent in scaling than Rement, and I'll say a lot more about that in a few minutes. But I wanted to show you a little bit of their presentation. Usually they arrive in a very small cube box like this. Very nice, very simply packed. They don't usually use peanuts. They have in the past though. Most of the time it's just tissue paper, which is fine. I prefer that actually. And again, here's the box. Sometimes the box is going to open like so, and you'll have this very nice curtain-like presentation where it says Squint Box, your monthly fix, and you get a little bit of a description here, which tells you it's called Summer's Best. And as I unpack this, we'll eventually get to a card that will show you exactly who these miniature artists are. We have a little beach scene with very, very tiny, I'll call them flip-flops. I know they're called something else. Thongs, flip-flops. We have this very nice little set of plates, very, very tiny napkins. More than likely, whenever you're going to get a Squint box set, you're going to have some element of food. And you will have something called Pure Fun. And you might get like an additional element. In this case, we have pie. I have to say, from the various times I've gotten Squint box, they always seem to include some version of pie. I think this is somebody who is either obsessed with Rocky Johnson, The Rock from the WWE, or they like dessert. And as I said, here's the card. Miniaturist Spotlight, they say. Dogma Creations, Brown's Handmade, and Sharon Harbison, as well as Tamara Marble. And if I come in a little closer, this tells you that Squintbox itself is able to be found on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. What I like, first thing I like about them is there is a certain, I don't want to say organic, because I can't say that everything that they use is, organic and sustainable, but there's definitely a thought about the environment. This is cardboard. This is not peanuts. It's very nice, holistic, country-like packaging. The other packaging I wanted to show you. This is another way they might ship, and sometimes they'll do this with like the special edition boxes. So again, you have the Squint Box logo, more food. This is talking about bonus boxes, which is a little self-advertisement. Sometimes you'll get flowers. In this case, you have a nice little pot. Now you have a photo frame. The latest Squint box, and this is the latest one I got. The latest Squint box brings you tiny details from the popular food, gardening, and dining categories in miniatures. Enclosed is a branded box of gourmet chocolates and a wee little candy dish to complete the set. We also included fabric-wrapped terracotta flower part for a shabby chic look and added frame silhouettes for a modern take on a classic design. So really, they're thinking about be thinking about Now, how does this actually translate? How is this going to fit into my scale, the 1/6 scale? Well, I'm going to go ahead and use these last 2 months, as well as a couple of other items from months in the past to show you, with a 1/6 scale doll, scaling. So what you can and what you cannot do with these, okay? So let's pause here and let me set up for the next part of the review. So as you can see, I've set up a little display table with some of the food items I've gotten over the past year. Not all of them. I didn't want to do that because I wanted to give you guys a chance to see, again, what works, what doesn't work. I also just wanted to very quickly show you in sort of rapid fashion that occasionally they will also produce these very nicely tri-folded brochures that talk about the various miniatures, and you'll see some of them again in a minute. Some of these are for the holidays, and I think this is also a good way for me to point out really fast what works and what you can prepare yourself to see scale-wise. And yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead first and move the camera in to show you what I've laid out. To one side, I've laid out the glassware. It's definitely stronger than plastic. It's very durable. The two pieces in the back, I may now introduce our 1/6 scale volunteer. The two pieces in the back look to be about the right scale. If she was going to put her hand, which I will do, put her hand on top of it, it's about the right scale to be smaller items. This is supposed to be a full wine glass, but if you put it in her hand, this is going to be tricky to show you, hang on. If you just position it. It'll look more like a sherry glass, which is not bad, you know, if you want to have a scene where they're drinking sherry. If I bring her to the back and have her sort of standing over this whole display, you'll see that the tart, which is supposed to be a whole pie, really looks more like a personal, like little mini dessert you'd get at Applebee's. They weren't kidding. This is branded. This is Godiva. And again, in her hand, it works as a very small box of chocolates, not the kind you would expect to get for Valentine's Day, but then again, there are actually chocolates in it, which is nice. And the chocolates themselves are like little tiny bite-sized pieces. I come over here, the dishes, and I lean in and I put her hand on top of the dishes. Let me move the camera. There we go. If I put my hand on top of the dishes, you're going to see that this is really more toward like a dessert dish or a fruit dish. It's not a full-on plate. So there, in terms of food, you are going to be solidly at the 1/12 scale, which means these are not going to be usable with most action figures or with most fashion dolls. But as I said, you can, if you want to, you can, say, well, these are like little bite-sized items. These are little tiny items. You can always play with it that way and say that they're smaller custom items if you want to go ahead and do that. So let me go ahead and show you the other two popular sets with them, which is the gardening and the home. So I wanted to, again, start off by showing you probably the one that works the best in the 1/6 scale, and that was this very nice open market wrapped up bouquet of flowers that just so happens to match her dress. I didn't really plan it that way. But as you can see, it's perfectly scaled that this is how she would carry it, and it works exactly as it should as a bouquet that a fashion doll or an action figure with a gardening streak would carry. Let's go ahead and head back toward the table. Again, these are pieces from gardening and home decor. The detailing is exquisite. You just don't get this pot, which you see right here in my hand. You also get a very nice little spade. And the spade, I can go ahead and fit it into her hand. The spade is a little small for her hand, and from a distance, it would almost look like, if I can bring this in a little bit closer, so you can see what I'm talking about, it would almost look like a paintbrush. So if you wanted to trick that in a shot, you could. You have this lovely little box here that says DM Ferry and Company Standard Seeds. Whoops. DM Ferry and Company Standard Seeds. And then you lift it up, and lo and behold, seeds. And that, I'm not going to open up the package, but that is the right scale for 1/6. And you also get this little tiny book on gardening. And again, to bring it up and to put the book in her hands. It's a little small, but not terribly so. It looks like something you would get, you know, in Barnes & Noble on the discount rack. And the last thing is these plants, you know, this is like a little stress relieving shrubbery that you would use and prune. Around on the other side of the table, we have little gifts and note cards. Well, the note cards obviously are exactly the right size. They are exactly the right size for a hand. So these are good for Christmas. There are a couple of presents here. This is a nice size. Oops. This is a nice size for a present, as you can see. So too is this. Depending on what this is supposed to be. If it's supposed to be a bottle of booze, it's a little small. If it's something else, it works. You know, it's in her hand. It's roughly in the right scale. This is, of course, again, a very good scale in her hands. For a small present that she could present to someone, or a cake box. This is where things begin to get a little more problematic. When I originally saw this, I thought this was a purse, and I'm like, okay, if it's a clutch, it's okay. Scale-wise, it's a little small, but it works. That's not what this is. If I opened it, And lo and behold, it is a set of jewelry that cannot be worn. And it's really very small and off scale. So if you were going to use it, I would use it closed as either a journal or a clutch. We have this shopping bag. And again, to reintroduce Our Lady. As far as shopping bags go, it's a small one. She obviously didn't do a lot of shopping. It's a small one. There is a box inside. And again, just to pull out her hand so you can lie the box in it. Not a huge box, but it's still, if you want to play it as a small gift, it works. The last couple of pieces, I'm going to go ahead and put on the table and then have her sit next to them as we talk about them. And in case anyone's wondering, this is Captivating Cocktails Evelyn, which is a newer Integrity Toys doll. These were the frames that I showed you earlier. Up against her, they look like it would be a small detailing appropriate for a bathroom or her boudoir. It's cute. This next one is supposed to be a frame. I would use it as a framed piece of art, a small piece that you would take care of. Not take care of, but you would put up in your house. And again, not something that would hang hugely on a wall. But interestingly, if you were so inclined, and if you notice it, you could also turn it around and use it as a tray during the holidays. I thought that might be interesting. And then you would obviously shoot from above to get the detailing that this is a print. This is clearly a bathroom makeup mirror, but I love it because it's purple. And it has little sparkly detail, which you really can't tell in the camera, but it does. And then the last one is very obvious. This itself would be nothing more than a hand towel, and you can't remove the flip-flops, A, so it's really for display. And B, even if you could, I don't even think a Momoko could fit into those shoes. So they're very, obviously this is clearly for display. But, and I'm not sure if this is going to get lost because she's wearing a red dress and the seashell is about the same size. But it is a good proportion. For a hand and for a doll to have a seashell, and I thought that was a nice little touch for the summer. So of course now we come to the very famous question that we always have. Do you go ahead and subscribe to Squint Box? I'm not going to say in the video how much it is. I'm going to put that in the description below. I should also tell you that they didn't know I was going to do this. I subscribed to them, and I am completely impartial. But I will tell them once this review is up. So I will put in the description box. You can subscribe for a whole year or part of the year, and I would say go part of the year. Decide for yourself and your own collection and your collection needs how much more you want to do with it, if these miniatures are right for you, how much play you can do with them. It's definitely worth doing part of the year and maybe going toward the end of the year, because then you'll get some holiday pieces, which will always be nice. So I would say go ahead, do that. Try to get your subscription to go as far as the end of the year, and then decide after that. I'm very happy with what I have. I'm very glad I subscribed. My subscription is probably coming to an end soon. I'm going to renew it. I'm going to keep getting these boxes. I enjoy them. I think they're really cool. And I hope that you enjoy them as much as I do. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else more I can say about that other than to say that this is really one of those deals where you have to, like with the remint, decide how much of it you want it to be in your collection and how much you can trick the scale. So for me and for Squint Box Minis, this is Barbara, and I will see you in the next review. Take care.